Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. This week we're going to continue looking at how the stimulus checks are affecting the market, and it's pretty much the same this week as it was last week. It's all the evidence is showing that yes, indeed, the stimulus checks are being spent on sealed product as well as singles, and the secondary market is really taking off. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. A, there's really nothing new for players to actually buy. Typically, this be the time period that people would be buying into Ikoria and singles into Ikoria, booster boxes, and playing a lot of the new standard that's coming out. However, since none of that is happening, I think that Magic players are taking their purchases elsewhere. Instead of ramping down their spending, they are still spending what they'd usually spend on even more because of the stimulus checks on Magic the Gathering products. And it's not just Magic the Gathering. We'll take a look at that in a second because there's this Pokemon booster box that the only reason I know the price on it is because I got stuck with it. And I've been trying to sell these stupid things forever. And lo and behold, when I checked eBay, wow, they have gone up a lot, and started checking some of the other Pokemon, and Pokemon is seeing similar trends as Magic the Gathering. So I think those are the two factors that are factoring. A, with the pushback of new products, that means people have to look elsewhere, and B, the stimulus is adding just a lot of fuel onto the fire of buying into the secondary market. So we talked about last week that all the boxes were trending up. Well, this week, seems to be that trend is continuing. We see on Modern Horizons going from 142 to 147, which is a $5 increase. We have the Iconic Masters, which is another box I like, from 175 to 180, which is another $5 increase. And across the board, it looks like things are still going up. We can take a look at Standard. Standard is still trending up. Throw the Drain a little bit down. Challenger decks are still a thing, but War of the Spark, Ravnica Allegiance, Guilds of Ravnica are all going up in price. We look at Pioneer. We have Kaladesh that has been trending up. We have Aether Revolt that has been trending up. Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation, all of those are looking really, really good. So let me talk about Pokemon here. So this is something that I was able to find out the hard way. So let me give you a story, the backstory of Unbroken Bonds. Unbroken Bonds is Pokemon's power creep set. And it was insanely popular. So basically there'd been a bunch of meh sets. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not the greatest, I don't have the greatest knowledge about Pokemon. I've played Pokemon in the past. I think it's a pretty garbage game when it comes to actually, playing. But there's a huge market for people actually just collecting the cards. And they had a bunch of lackluster sets in a row, just one after another that no one seemed to get excited about. And I think the year before they started reprinting older sets, so people did get excited about some of these older cards that were very, very hard to come by that got reprinted and now had access to. And it was just lackluster set after lackluster set that came out. And then there was Unbroken Bonds, and Unbroken Bonds just sold through the roof to the point that people couldn't get any more, and they were really heavily allocating it. Well, I have some friends that own a store elsewhere, and I reached out to them and said, hey, I don't use my allocation for Pokemon. How about I buy these and you just pay me the price for them and I'll ship them to you? And they agreed to it. And then communication just got kind of laxed, and I ended up getting stuck with Unbroken Bonds. So I had a bunch of cases of Unbroken Bonds that I had been just taking a loss because I'm not that savvy at selling Pokemon. And so I'd been slowly selling it a little bit above eBay to people that would, wanted to support and buy it. And it was taking about a $5 loss per box over that time period from then until now. And the last box I was able to sell was less than a month ago, and it was just a patron that was trying to buy some of the stuff that I had rotting on my shelf just to help us get through this pandemic. And I ended up selling some Unbroken Bonds at $80 a booster box. And I checked eBay at the time, and they were going for $70. And lo and behold, now, a month later, Unbroken Bonds is now going for about $175. We actually look at the ones that are sold. It's going to give a little bit of a different picture, but all the listing ones are about between like 165 and 175. And the sold ones, 165 was the last one, 170. So that's a huge price increase in less than a month for Unbroken Bonds. And we're seeing that very similar with Magic. And I want to kind of showcase sets that are very similar to Unbroken Bonds. Because here's what happened with Unbroken Bonds. It was a set that was highly demanded and it was out of stock. You couldn't get it when people actually did want it. And then the manufacturer Pokemon's like, okay, people want it so bad, we'll reprint it. And then that wave sold out. And then they said, okay, then we will really reprint it. And that's what was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back as far as supply is concerned. And then these really started to dwindle the next months, and then a year later they were down to the less than what people paid for them originally. Pokemon has a very similar price tag as Magic the Gathering, because you have to assume that distributors sell these around $80 to $90 a booster box to your local game stores. So they're going for way less than that on eBay. And so I guess the whole thing of this video is to try to identify the unbroken bonds in Magic the Gathering. And I know I keep talking about these two sets, but these are the two sets that I think are the best sets that might have the unbroken bonds effect. Iconic Masters. This is what I've been talking about a ton lately. And I really, really like Iconic Masters, especially the Mishra's Bauble going up in price over the last couple of days, and a few of the other key cards, Mana Drain's still been going up, that are going to push the box EV, which is sitting now. Iconic Masters is sitting at a 180. If you were to crack it at TC market price, you get about $180 in value. And so with that is also showing cards are like Mana Drain and Mishra's Bauble are becoming, the supply is starting to get dwindled out just by the singles being purchased. Well, I think then that booster boxes, the sealed boxes, are going to catch up with the singles that are being sold, and then people will start buying into Iconic Masters, saying, okay, if I can get on eBay for 180 and I get $180 worth of cards, then I might as well gamble for the Mana Drain, a couple baubles to make my money back, and Iconic Masters looks like a very, very good buy. It has really started to outpace Masters 25, and if we keep this trajectory up, it should start to even outpace, maybe even Ultimate Masters without the box topper. It could outpace. You can see that over the past couple weeks, percentage-wise, it's actually gone up more than Ultimate Masters has. And Ultimate Masters, I think, still has way more supply in the form of sealed out there, and so that's what it has going against it. So Iconic Masters, if we go to sold, let's see what the ones that are sold. So it's trending about 175, 185, 175 to 185 as well. The last ones that are sold, 187, 187, 187, 189, 169, 189, 200. So these are definitely trending up from their prices that they can still be had. And I guess a little bit of a plug here for what I do over at my Patreon is, if you are a member of my Patreon, I do allow you to buy booster boxes at distributor pricing. Currently, Iconic Masters is sitting at 175 for the pricing for these booster boxes. So right there's a good way that you are a patron. You can actually get these a little bit cheaper than you can than going the eBay route. Especially, I know I do charge shipping. You just reimburse whatever shipping is, so it's pretty much similar to what you'd pay. Actually, it's a little bit better of a deal right now, but that might soon be where Iconic Masters even goes in the 200s and the 210s. And I'm actually expecting that, because we checked this last week and they're around 170s on eBay. So they've gone up quite substantially within just the week since we did Market Monday last week. So hurry on if you want Iconic Masters. I absolutely would not wait on this set. If we go over here to, let's go ahead and take a look at Iconic Masters, specialty sets, Iconic Masters, and see some of the ones that are trending up. We have Mana Drain at 144, which is quite substantial. And then we have things, like I said, Mishra's Bauble that's already back up to $14. And the look at the trajectory for Mishra's Bauble. It's just spiked up in value. A lot of this has to do with Luris from really hitting that Death Shadow Modern deck. But seems like, Erosa too. Yeah, I guess Luris and Erosa have been pushing some demand for Mishra's Bauble. If we look at some of these other cards too, you see a lot of down arrows right now, but that's because usually you want to look at the weekly. Goldfish, oftentimes the weekly isn't working, but most of these have had pretty good weekly growths as well. You see Mana Drain has gone up and is slightly gone back down here. And if we were looking at the other big card that did go up is Avacyn. Avacyn had a huge gain over this past week, going from $35 to $45. So that's one of the reasons I think Iconic Masters is a great buy, is it seems to be like this is the trend for most of the cards. I even have like Horizon Canopy that is flatlined out and is starting to recover, which is a good sign for the set. And let's take a look at like Consecrated. Yep, that one's actually going up as well. So Consecrated Sphinx is going, which is a good news for Commander decks, which is also leading me to believe that we have a pretty bullish market right now because of the stimulus checks. People are going to be getting their second stimulus check, or if you're people like me that haven't got your first one yet, maybe we'll get them both at the same time, and that will add additional lot of money to be spent on luxury things that people don't need. But I mean, we're not going to get political here, not going to get into why I don't think people should be blowing money on stuff if they can't afford it. But each their own. They can do what they want with this money, and obviously they are doing what they want with this money, and it's going to the more luxury end of the spectrum, which is good for Iconic Masters because it does hold a lot of those what I consider luxury type cards for Commander and high-end modern decks. All right, so that's Iconic Masters. The supply still seems pretty heavy at a couple of the distributors that still have Iconic Masters in stock, but this is starting to become an old enough set where it could have. This had a very similar problem that Unbroken Bonds did. It was one of the most highly printed master sets of all time, and where they decided they were just gonna, throw caution to the wind and shoot for the moon and just print Iconic Masters. Ended up being a dud set comparatively to how it was responded because nothing really felt iconic in it. And then they came out with Masters 25 and Ultimate Masters not too long after that, and a lot of things just outpaced what Iconic Masters wanted to be, and it got just stuck on shelves. But it seems to be a good buy right now, and it seems to be going kind of like Unbroken Bonds was, where it was the overprinting that was the main problem. It wasn't the set was that terrible. It was just the overprinting was comparatively the crushing factor of the price of Iconic Masters. So let's take a look at Modern Horizons. Now, Modern Horizons very much so was like Pokemon's Unbroken Bond. So Modern Horizons came out and it sold like hotcakes. This set, I have sold more dollar value for Modern Horizons than any other set by far. Nothing even comes close to how much Modern Horizons. There were weeks where I would buy, 6 cases a week to sell, and they would just go. And the EV remained high for quite some time. And then Pioneer came out, and that just stabbed Modern Horizon right in the throat. It was like turning off a valve here for the prices of Modern, and people started cannibalizing all things Modern and going into Pioneer, and it crushed the price of Modern Horizons. But look again now with Modern Horizons, it's trending up a lot higher. This was another set that was selling for 140s, 150s for quite some time, and now it looks like it's in the 180s for actual box, plus the shipping if you're going to add those together. And if we go to the sold items, it's also going to show 172, 179, 165, 174, 190, 160. Those are starting to trend up. And that also has to do with people splurging on Modern. Modern's having a big comeback. One of the main reasons is Pioneer does seem to be in a very stale state right now, and Pioneer's not very interesting. It seems to be more of the Goldfish type decks rather than the interaction. And so if people are going to play that type of style, they might as well do it in, a more fashionable way, which is Modern. And we're seeing a lot of people going back to Modern rather than sticking with Pioneer. I'm hoping that Magic can put an end to the nonsense that's been coming out in these later sets of just really breaking Pioneer with cards like Euro and cards like Heliod, and then, combos that work with those, and Thassa's Oracle, and then now we have companions that are really wrecking the format. But anyway, another video for another day for the health of Pioneer. However, Modern Horizons is following a very similar trajectory as we saw with having a pretty huge increase. One of the main reasons with Modern Horizons is it's very, very similar to Iconic Masters. It has more than just Modern cards. It has a lot of very, very powerful Commander cards. So if we go over here to prices, look at Modern Horizons, you can see that Renin 6 has had a huge resurgence. We have Urza, Lord High Artificer, that rebounded today, really going up in price today. And then cards like Force of Negation continue to go strong. Huge increases on Force of Negation for the money cards. And then we have cards like Prismatic Vista and Yawgmoth that are traditionally more Commander cards, even though Yawgmoth and Prismatic Vista do see play in Modern. They're pretty stable and starting to trend. Yeah, it does seem like they've hit their lows. They're at least 4-month lows and starting to trend back upwards. If we go over to the Commander-only cards, let's see. There we go. Morpho and the Boundless continues to be one of the hottest commanders. That one's increasing quite well. And we look at these lands, and they're doing very, very well as far as hitting their... I guess they're not doing well right now. They're still going down. But I'm expecting these to be the real winners out of the set and continue to go up in value as they are seen play like crazy in Modern. Lots of Modern decks run these Horizon lands, as well as if you're running these color combinations in Commander, you should be running them, because being able to draw a card late game at the cost of a land is crucial if you really want to tune out your deck. So these are great replacement cards for the alternatives for non-basic lands in Commander, and I think the Commander alone will really start to outstretch the supply of these particular cards. We saw cards too, like these Mythics of Echo of Eons. This one should be increasing with the wheel type effect. One of the commanders is going to definitely be running Echo of Eons in that deck, so I'm assuming that this is going to have a huge price increase once the commander decks come out and people start upgrading their commander decks. And for all those reasons, I think Modern Horizons is a very, very good buy. Going back to plugging my Patreon, you can get in at Modern Horizons at $163. I think that's a steal of a deal. Also, one thing about Modern Horizons is this is not heavily there's not a lot of supply left in distributors. There's one distributor that's completely out of stock of Modern Horizon, another one that has less than 5, and another one that has less than 30. And so to give you in the scope of things, that is nothing. That is like super thin quantities. Now, again, you can never be 100% sure of if those quantities are accurate, because distributors oftentimes don't put up their entire quantities that they have in their warehouses all up at once. Maybe they keep a reserve back to when something does sell out, and then they readjust the price. However, if those are the actual allocation or actual amounts that are out there, that is very, very, those aren't cases. Those are number of boxes that are left to be purchased from distributors. If that's the case, then they're out of distribution, and then the price should definitely start to go up in value from that price tag. So I think that these are really, really good buys at $163. Keep in mind, I don't make a cent off of that. I'm just quoting the prices after fees and all the shenanigans I have to deal with of how much it costs me to get you a booster box. And that's kind of the service I do at Patreon. A little bit of backstory too, since I think I've never explained why I started the Patreon service here on the Market Monday. The TLDR of it is I used to be sponsored by a number of different sponsorships. My biggest one was Cool Stuff Inc. that used to sponsor me to create Rogue Brews. I did a thing called Market Monday, not Market Monday, Playing on a Budget. We're doing Market Monday right now. I did a thing called Playing on a Budget, and I also did one called the Rogues Alley that I did for Gathering Magic Says Cool Stuff. And then I lost my sponsorship back at the end of 2018, and I vowed that I would never take on another sponsorship so I could continue to have this independent voice. And that's why I started the Patreon, for people just to support me. And then I realized, hey, I think we got frustrated when, I'm trying to think of the set that came out, that the margins just weren't there. They were selling it directly online. And I think that was the reason why we decided to go the Patreon route, is that Wizards made it clear that they didn't care about selling on Amazon to undercut us, or to really, really put a damper on how much we could sell for margins wise to our customers. And especially being an area that is very, very known to shop online because we're a rural area, it cut into our bottom line bigly. We'll use that word. And so I decided, okay, if I can't make money that way, then everyone can just own their own local game store and be a part. So my patrons are almost like shareholders, is how I classify them. That they are a part of my store. They keep the lights on. I rely on the Patreon money to run the business. We're up to about $1,700 worth of patron, and that's the perk of being a patron. Is it's like owning your own store, and you get the prices of what it would cost you as a store owner to get them. And I like it. It gives me better numbers with the distributors. It gives me more clout, and it's not that big of a headache. Sometimes it is, but it's worth it. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. So when I kind of plug it, it does help fund this Market Monday type series and other things that we do, the new equipments and stuff that we're working on with other channels. And so when I talk about a lot of these things, I do have some invested in what I talk about but for the most reason, my whole business is not necessarily moving product. It's actually providing sources or my 2 cents of what I think would be good moves. Maybe I should be more of the buyer-seller end of things, but it just makes more sense me being the kind of the middleman, the patron, using that subscription fee as the profit margin rather than trying to flip booster boxes all day long on eBay and whatnot. So I hope that makes sense to everyone of where I'm coming from when I talk about pricings. I don't really have as much skin in the game as I used to. Occasionally people do say, "Oh, Kevin must have Modern Horizons he's sitting on." I don't have a box of Modern Horizons right now. I think I have 8 boxes of Iconic Masters, and those tend to flow pretty regularly, I don't like to keep a lot of inventory on hand. I'd rather have that free capital to invest in deals that I find, and then allow patrons to buy these insanely good deals and keep them happy, so they'll keep their subscription service up or even up it. That to me makes a lot more sense. So a little bit of transparency of when we talk about certain things. Anyway, back to what we were talking about with Modern Horizons and some other of the good deals. Let's just check some other places. Like, let's go over to Star City Games and let's look up what they're selling Modern Horizons for. See if that pops up. No, I want booster box. Modern Horizon booster. See if that will, I haven't even, there we go. So they're at 200 for Modern Horizons and only 5 in stock, only 63 packs left in stock. Card Kingdom is a booster, 6 booster boxes for 1,000. So that puts it, let's go and see. I guess I could just search. Let's see where Modern Horizons is nowadays. They sell Modern Horizons at $175. That's actually a pretty decent price. I don't expect that to hold for much longer with a discount on Modern Horizons, especially with the low amount that Star City Games has. I think that's going to be, wow, Fate Forge is up more than a Modern Horizons booster box, huh? Wow, the value is definitely not there comparatively. Yeah, I think that is going to go up in price. Iconic Masters up to $220 to give you a gist. Let's see what that's at Star City Games for Iconic Masters, what they're selling it for. Reason I use these two is I still consider Star City Games the biggest vendor for the kind of the spikes, kind of the Iconic Masters booster. Okay, they don't have any in stock. They sell more to the competitive player, and Card Kingdom sells more to the casual, and they're kind of the kings of their different demographics. And so if you can get a baseline of what Card Kingdom's selling for, and you get a baseline of Star City Games, you've got the bases covered of the two major demographics. And they both agree on something, then you know that something's about ready to pop or go up in value. The other place you can do is magic.tcgplayer.com, and then you can also look up Modern Horizons and see exactly what it's going for. Oh my gosh, Modern Horizons. Come on. So Modern Horizons booster box right here is trending at 181. And 181's gone too. So the cheapest one right now is 192. Let's just go item price only, see if there's one at 190 with $10 shipping. So about $200 is what 192.90 is the cheapest one that's going on right here for Modern Horizons. Iconic Masters is going for 200. Yeah, so this is even trending higher than eBay. So yeah, those two I think are really, really good buys at the moment. So anyway, again, I hope this has been informative of what I would... Sealed still seems to be the best place to park money, or things that are going up in value right now, that it has the most ability. It seems that that's where it's trending. I think singles will be a couple weeks off. The problem with singles is when Ikoria comes back in, like sealed, once sealed hits a certain price, it has a better chance of actually staying at that price than actually going back down in value. Whereas singles can go up quicker and down quicker. So we're heading into the summer months anyway, and I don't really suggest people holding on to singles going into the summer. Of course, this whole year has been so weird. So you throw all the regular trends out the window because they don't really matter. So we could actually see, with more stimulus money coming out, like singles being a little bit delayed. But sealed to me seems to be the better place to park. And again, I'm not talking about flipping because I don't think flipping is really that ideal at the moment. We've seen things like, again, Avacyn's, Iconic Rifts, stuff like that. That would just be the place that I look as Commander, and I'll try to do some more videos. I keep saying this at the Rogue Market channel. We'll start looking at Commander. I'll do that. This week, we'll get back to looking at Commander decks and cards that could go up in value. For one, this week, Echo of Eons looks very, very smart buy, and it's from Modern Horizons because wheels are back on the menu with the Snake Wheeler from the Icori Commander that's coming out. And there will be a lot of those that are going to do just easy, quick double ups and things you identify. But if you're looking to something that is going to accrue value, well, first of all, the dollar is going to get deflated like crazy. So any good, I think, is going to be able to hold value comparatively to, dollar. It happens when you print money, and that's exactly what's happening with the stimulus package. It's going to cost taxpayers about $17,000 per taxpayer to cover all of this sort of stuff, and that money has to come from somewhere, which is being printed by the Fed. Another video for another day about how that affects like other markets, but I think that has to do a lot with prices of like booster boxes across the board from Magic and Pokemon going up, as well as there's a lot of factors that go into it. Anyway, I lost my train of thought of where I was going with this, but yeah, so. Sealed is a pretty good place, especially if you can get in low of boxes that haven't quite gone up in value comparatively. To give you a little bit of perspective of sealed product that's gone up quite a bit in the last couple of months, Return to Ravnica. We just did a Market Monday not too long ago about Return to Ravnica costing $90 from distributors and trending at $90 on eBay, and now it's up to $120. And then there's also Amonkhet. Amonkhet's another one that was like $90, and now it's up to $120 as well. And so there's a lot of that age stuff that has already popped. And Iconic Masters and I think Modern Horizons are not that far off. They're very similar in age to like an Amonkhet, and I think that being a premium product is going to allow them to actually go up a lot more consistently than something like an Amonkhet. And we hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Make sure you're subscribed to the Rogue Market channel. And if you want to look at deals for mainly accessories, card accessories, come check out my other channel, Gone Rogue Games, which I'll be showcasing a lot of patron-priced accessories. Right now we have $2 Dragon Shield sleeves, so you can get Dragon Shields 60s classics, a couple of colors, petrol yellow and night blue, for a whopping $2 per box, which is a steal of a deal. Those are the type of deals I try to find, buy them all up, make sure that my patrons can get them at a huge discount. And again, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.